Well, good afternoon and welcome to our webinar today. My name is Peter Frank and I'm joined by Mark Nickelbein. We're going to be talking about using the digital subscription of creative worship for the Lutheran Parish. So a little bit about ourselves. I am a senior marketing manager in our church supplies group. I'm fairly new to creative worship. I've only been working with you guys for about a year and a half now. Mark Nickelbein is our editor in music and worship. Mark, tell us a little bit about what you do and specifically your role with creative worship.
Yeah, so I'm involved with the production of our annual music list, as well as product manager for creative worship. So I coordinate with authors and our artist and composer and get everything together each quarter for you to use the creative worship materials.
Fantastic. And you've been here, how long? It's about 5 years now?
Almost 5 years, yeah.
And how long has creative worship been around?
Oh,
putting you on the spot.
Yeah, almost 35 years, I think.
Oh my goodness, wow. That's fantastic. Yeah. So creative worship has been through many different changes over the years, and we're going to talk about the most recent change and how to opt into that. It's not something that we're forcing on people, but it's a much better option in our opinion. So let's kind of go through our outline for today. First off, we'll be talking about why are we moving to an online subscription, a digital subscription, and offering that possibility for people. Next, we're going to walk you through the sign-in process and then kind of take you around the navigation, which should feel quite familiar to you. Then we're going to talk about what is going on with the CDs. We do have some changes with that we want to clarify. We've sent some notes, some emails, and put some things on the disc, but it'll be good to explain that and take any questions that you might have. And that's really where we're going to end, is with any question and answers. So we've got this scheduled for about 30 minutes. There's probably not enough material here for the whole 30 minutes. So we'll go slowly. If you have any questions, please ask, and we'll wrap up when we do. So it may be you may get some time back at the end of the presentation, but let's go ahead and get started. So Mark, if you don't mind explaining to us a little bit about why we are moving creative worship online. And it's not a new move. We started this with Q1 this year, but we got the reasons listed. If you can kind of explain that for us, that'd be great.
Sure. Yeah, the starting point really is we've heard from a lot of customers that say, I got a new computer and I don't have a CD-ROM drive anymore. Really, CD-ROM drives are no longer standard on new computers. So if you are upgrading your own technology and you have to rely on CDs, well, we have a problem.
This laptop here doesn't have one.
Yeah, so most content now, it's going to the web to be delivered, and so that's what we needed to do so that people with newer computers can keep getting creative worship content. The next reason is it's faster to get to you. You don't have to worry about the post office, how long that's going to take. Our production schedule is faster, so we don't have to make the CDs. As soon as we're ready, we put that content online. So if you're the type of congregation that's planning weeks, months in advance, well, now you have even more time.
Well, and I know when we were talking about this, you mentioned Canadian customers sometimes have trouble getting the discs too.
Yeah, seems like it's a fairly common problem that the discs get caught up in customs and either don't make it to the destination, we have to send another one, or come really, really late. And I hate to see a worship planner having to wait till the last minute to get their
the scramble
information. Yeah,
never a good thing. All right, next up, well, this kind of, I guess we already talked about that. I jumped ahead, sorry. The reliable distribution. So that's great. And then if you want to talk to this last point here.
Yeah, it will be a little bit less costly for you to have the subscription that's just online rather than paying for shipping and paying for the disc, the physical materials now. So we're always looking for ways that we can save congregation's money. So,
and as I'm sure you and the congregations have experienced, as the cost of living continues to go up, and often when that happens, prices on products go up. We experience that all the time here at the publishing house. This will allow us to delay that increase on the content because we're cutting out some of these other costs here. So we're excited about that. We're excited about all these reasons because I think it's really going to benefit our customers.
Yeah, and I think it's really been a long time since Creative Worship has seen a price increase, which has been great. So with the online, we can keep it at that price point still.
And I know even as the cost of living goes up, we're not seeing offerings go up in churches. So yeah, we do what we can. Sometimes it's difficult. Well, let's dig right into the sign-in process. And I'm going to switch screens here. And if you want to kind of narrate as we go through, the first step is to go to creativeworship.online. But tell us what the experience is like once you get here. And I'll put this on the slides in just a moment so you can see that, copy it down. But yeah, tell us a little bit about where to go, and I'll kind of run the mouse.
Yeah, so be careful when you're typing this in. Maybe you could show.
Oh, yeah.
When you're typing in, it's Creative Worship, like one word, no space between them, and then the word online. There's no .com after this. Nowadays there's all sorts of different ways that you can get to websites. It's just like that, creativeworship.online.
So if we go to Google and type that in, we'll show what comes up too. So if you go in here and type creativeworship.online, which I know you've talked to several people who have done that. Let me move our audience view out of the way. Here we go.
Yeah, so the one we want to go to is that third one, digital subscription. That will take you to this site. And once you're there, if you see this big top portion of the screen that's purple, looks like this, says digital subscription, you know you've made it to the right spot. After you've typed it in, creativeworship.online, it takes you to a little bit different address. And that's exactly right. That's where we need to be, cph.org.
We've also put in a quick link. So if you are on cph.org and you navigate under music to creative worship, let me go there. There's a link here, access your digital subscription. So that's another way to get to it. It's a little bit less convenient. We tried to go with that short URL to be memorable, creativeworship.online, but that may cause some problems too. So, all right, so now that we're here.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can get here, but once you're here, you see that purple on the top, you know you're in the right place. You can scroll down and look for this blue button that says log in to Creative Worship.
We'll click that and it'll take us to the sign screen. I'll just zoom in a little bit so you guys have a good idea of what that is. And I'll move this navigation out of the way. Okay.
Yeah, so the way this is set up is everybody that's been a subscriber to Creative Worship will have access to the online. You've been receiving discs in the past. Even if you're still receiving discs, you also have access to all the online content. What needs to happen is that your account, your cph.org account needs to be associated with the church's account, which I think in a lot of cases that probably already is there. As long as that's the case, you log in with the cph.org credentials that you already have, and you'll get logged in, and it will look like this, showing you all the quarters that are currently in your account.
Fantastic. So let's do a quick recap of that, just to make sure, because I know it can seem complicated. Once you get in there the first time, after that it'll be real easy. So go to http://creativeworship.online, or just type in creativeworship.online. Enter your cph.org credentials. The credentials must be connected to the billing account for your subscription, and there's nothing you have to do to get your Creative Worship account tied to your billing account. That's already taken place. But if your email, your cph.org credentials are not, you can reach out to our customer service team at either order@cph.org or call them at 800-325-3040. And anyone that you speak to should be able to connect your cph.org account to the church account. If you don't have one, you can set that up very easily at cph.org and then give our team a call or send them an email, and they'll be happy to connect it from there. So great. The next step that we're going to go to is navigation, kind of how to walk through, if you can walk through what the experience is like once you log in.
Yep. So after logging in, you're presented with a screen that shows all the Creative Worship products or quarters that you have access to. So your account, Peter, has all of them since we started the online. So one of the concerns I've heard is, well, this is no longer a physical CD. We like to hold on to our CDs and put them on the shelf. If this is digital, are they just going to disappear when they're done? No. Any quarter that you've purchased will stay in your account here. So you can go back and access, just like with the CDs, there is, of course, content that's only authorized, or because of our agreements with copyright holders, that you're only authorized to use for that quarter. Mm-hmm. But just like the CDs, those files from the entire quarter will stay there and be available to you.
That's great. And the stuff that is just for that quarter is mainly the music, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so most of it's still able to be used. And we've only got these 3 quarters on. Can you explain a little bit about the previous quarters and why they're not in here?
Right. So we have gone online only as far back as Series B quarter 1 when we started online access. Before that, we would have had to do great conversion to bring it online. Yeah. So that's as far back as it goes. And
we talked about doing that, but the cost of doing it would have to be passed on, and we are very sensitive to the cost. So that's why it's just these 3 and everything moving forward from here.
As soon as, say, Series B quarter 4 is ready, you'll see another picture show up on this screen that day. It'll come up, you can go in and access all of that. And that'll be, that goes up there sooner than the discs are shipped out. So
that's exciting. All right, so let's click on into a disc and kind of walk through what it looks like in a specific quarter.
So at the top you have this purple stripe with a picture of the case of the CD version of it, and the title of the quarter, and these 6 links below it are the same on every quarter. These are all like compilation PDFs of just about everything that's in here. Some of you may remember 10 plus years ago when all of Creative Worship was delivered in booklet form. And there's still some customers that really like to have all the paper to page through on their own. That's why we've provided this printable PDF, which contains all of the paper elements of Creative Worship in one spot. I don't know how many pages this is. It's probably over 300.
312 right there.
Yeah. And this quarter 3 and 4 tends to be the smaller ones, so it sometimes can be 4, even close to 500 pages. Of course, it doesn't include things like PowerPoints or audio that doesn't make sense for a PDF. But if you like to just run off everything and then look through it that way, that's the file for you. And then kind of portions of that are what goes below here. The services is the first half. The music index is the second half with all the music pages and contents of the music. The service overview, maybe open up that one.
Sure.
That's kind of a summary of all of the titles, the themes for each service, the images, and then what reference from scripture that image corresponds with. So this can kind of give you a quick overview in a nice printable format.
Yeah, and that one's only 4 pages. So that's a lot easier. 4 or 5? 4, good. I did count right. Good, excellent.
And then there's copyrights and usage. That's kind of the some of the
legal
stuff, and gives you kind of, if you want to read about how this is put together, there's some of that information in there. And then the final link, the zip download everything. Some customers have been very used to opening up their CD and copying all the files right off onto their hard drive somewhere. And they know how the files are organized on the disk and like it that way and want to keep doing it that way. And if that's you, this zip file is probably the right choice. It's a giant file.
That's why I'm not clicking on it.
Yeah, like 400 or 500 meg. And it'll take a while to download, but it's everything in one file, and then you could just save that on your hard drive and look through it the way, if that was you, the way you maybe were used to.
That's good. It'll keep with the same processes at the church, as opposed to having to change it and really in the next part go through a service by service.
Yeah. So probably the more user-friendly way now, because this has kind of come about since things were just available by files on the CD. The more user-friendly way is to look through it this way. You've got each service in this quarter of creative worship listed with the picture and the title of the service. And then you can drill down into each one of these by clicking choose service and see what all the resources there specifically to that service are available.
I'll go to Holy Trinity and click that one.
So there again, you see the image and the themes now show, and there's the date. And you have 4 main icons at the top. That docx is a Microsoft Word file. RTF is rich text format. That's useful for other word processors like WordPerfect or Pages for Mac, or if you use a different one, you might, if the docx doesn't work well in that software, you could try this. The PDF is a highly formatted version of this that's good for printing off. And then LSBX is the file that incorporates well with Lutheran Service Builder.
Yeah, and that's just a double click on that, and it opens right up in Builder. It's great.
Yeah. Then the next section, you have all of the graphic resources. So that Holy Trinity image up there is also available in a black and white format, so you can see that on the left. This particular service is part of a series that has a banner option, and if you look at the service notes in the service itself, it explains what this banner is for, and so there's a link for that. That's not always there with each service. And then you've got presentation backgrounds that are based on the image for the service, a PowerPoint template, and then the digital pyramids, the same thing, but more keyed on what you'd expect in a liturgical church for pyramids in the front for that particular service.
That's really cool.
And these work really well with Lutheran Service Builder. They work well with PowerPoint. So
if you've ever seen one of my Lutheran Service Builder webinars, you've probably seen me use these digital pyramids because I just love them. I think they're fantastic. And our artwork is a little bit different this year than in previous years. So I'd love to hear your feedback on that. It's a different style. It works very well for things like PowerPoint here too. Good. All right.
And then below the graphics section, there's one more.
Oh yeah, almost forgot about that.
Yeah, there's a lot here, always in the music section. So way at the top, right below the header of music, there's a PDF for service music suggestions. That kind of gives a one-page overview of all the music that's available. It's also basically reflected there on that other page, but there's also some, if you really want to drill down and see some other CPH offerings that would fit the service, there's some suggestions there. There's a list of the main hymns that are used, along with the tunes. And you may not have noticed this, but you can even click on those tunes, and it'll take you to the advanced music search on cph.org to show you other music that's based on that tune.
That's really cool.
That would work well fitting in with this service.
Awesome. Oops. Yeah.
And we'll back up to the service page.
All right, there we go.
And then each musical piece is in a box then below here. And if you click on the stripe, the blue stripe that has a little play button, it'll give you a little sample to listen to. This is basically just to give, if you're not a church musician, give you an idea of what this sounds like. It's not like an accompaniment track or anything like that. Just give you an idea of what it's like. And then all the files for your organist or pianist is there for you to put in the bulletin. You find that all below here.
And it didn't play out loud for me. I'm not sure if it fed into the webinar. If it did, I apologize if it was playing over Mark. But it wasn't coming across on our audio here. But that's because of our webinar software. So very good. And how many of these per week would you say there are? Because I know it kind of varies.
Each service will have usually at least 2, sometimes 3, sometimes even more than that.
Okay, fantastic. So that's how you can get that all in that one spot. Very good. All right, I think let's go back here. We'll just kind of do a recap of it. My quarters is all the available quarters for your church. So if you stop your subscription, it will still show you your previous ones. And if you pick it up again, a few quarters down the line, it'll pick up with those new quarters. It won't have anything in between, but at least you'll be able to go back. And so everything you've ever subscribed to will be there. And then you've got each quarter available. You can download everything, individual files for the quarters, individual pages for each week, like we just showed, and then individual files for each of those elements that we create. And there's a lot of variation there, like you just showed. So very good. Let's talk a little bit about the CD process, because we have a lot of questions about that. And I think it's very important. We've tried to share this through emails and through the inserts in the discs. But I want to make sure everybody knows about this because starting next year, there with quarter 1, there will be some changes. So first off, Series B quarter 4 is we are still producing the discs and including it as part of the subscription, but it's an opt-in. So the last few quarters you've been able to opt out of the disc. If you're happy with the online version, you don't have to keep being sent the disc and you don't have to pay for shipping. So starting with Series B quarter 4, this upcoming one, there is an opt-in for that. So it's an opt-in only, the same price included in the subscription. And I'll be sending that link for you to opt in. It's a little bit lengthier, so that'll be in the follow-up email on how to opt into that if you haven't already and you'd still like to get the discs. But then beginning in Series C quarter 1, it'll be opt-in only once again, but there will be an additional $15 per quarter for the disc plus the $4 shipping. So that puts it at $75 per quarter. The online subscription is that same $60 a quarter fee. So that makes it a lot more affordable. The disc covers that. As we have fewer and fewer discs, our prices are going up and fewer people need it. So we'll still continue to provide that option while our customers are requesting that. And certainly throughout all of Series C. So we'll continue to produce CD-ROMs for at least Series C. And then we're going to reevaluate it about this time next year and say, okay, as we move back into Series A, are we going to continue to do discs? And that'll be based on what our customers tell us. If you still need those discs, if it's still more convenient and it's worth the price, then we'll continue to do that. But it's really going to be led by you. So that's why I want to make sure all the information about the digital subscription is available so that you can make a good choice. All right. So moving forward, that is all we have from a presentation standpoint, but I'd love to hear if you have any questions. We don't have anything in the queue right now. And what is our time like? Oh, we're doing just fine. We're at 24 minutes, so very good. Sorry for, that's the only, should have brought a clock in here so I didn't have to look at my toolbar. But if you have questions for us that you'd rather not put in the chat but speak with us kind of offline, our contact information is on the screen. So email or phone is great for either of us. I put that link on there one more time so that you guys could try out the digital subscription. So creativeworship.online. But we'll wait another second for any questions that we might have. Oh, and here is the contact information for customer service one more time. I almost forgot about that. So if you are trying to sign in and you can't, it's probably because your cph.org credentials are not connected with your church. So there's who you can contact for that. So that's, once again, that's order@cph.org or 800-325-3040. All right, so question and answer time. We don't have any. Mark, do you have any questions or anything that you might think that we haven't covered yet?
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
It should be pretty easy. I hope everyone has the opportunity to try this out and see that it's a great option, I think.
Well, and I've been very pleased with how everything's going with Creative Worship. We've grown our number of subscribers in the last year, which is fantastic. So Mark's going to have a lot more things to do as we continue to develop this year after year. But we hope that you can take advantage of this digital subscription. And if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact us. So let me go ahead and put our information back on the screen one last time. But I think we're going to wrap up here today. So thank you very much for joining us as we walk through this process. I hope you enjoyed this new way of gaining access to Creative Worship and can continue to use this to plan your services. So Mark, thanks for joining me today. Everybody have a great rest of the day. Bye.